Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you for joining me today. Have a quick, well, it's not, it took me a little while to make all of these links up, but it's going to be quick for me to show you because I've left it to where I only have 2 more links to make. And what I'm using here is I'm using some of the beads from the Double Fire Polished Beads of the Month Club daisy basket that I received for the month of June. Yes, I'm still working on it. There's so much. So what we're going to do is, what I've done is I've taken some of these 5x7 ovals and some of these 3x6 fire polished. They're almost like rondelles. They're kind of flat. And so what I've done is I have done some wire wrapping and then linked them together using some little tiny jump rings. And this is, since I work from the spool, sort of like, because I have a humongous spool of bead-along German style wire. And so what I do is I usually take one wrap. This is one wrap around, and that's what I usually work off of because the spool's so heavy, I can't really work from the spool. But if I know that I'm going to be working on a large project, for this one here, I took 2 wraps around. So what I'm going to do is, this is what's left over from the second wrap, and we're going to go ahead and make up the last 2 links. So I'm going to make up another link using Fire Polish Daisy Spacer, not Daisy Spacer, but the rope spacer. The rope spacer is from the companion pack. I really love the companion pack. It's an add-on to your Beads of the Month Club. I highly recommend it. These companion packs, for the most part, carry or include Tiara Cast products, which is absolutely great. I love Tiara Cast products. So I've already done some, and I've already linked a few here. What I also have is I have a lobster clasp from my stash, and this actually came from a John Bead collection that I got from Michael's. And so it has different sizes. It has 2 sizes of each color. I chose the larger of the lobster clasp for the bright silver. Then I have a closed jump ring, and the reason why I have it already attached here is so I know that this is my closed jump ring that I'm going to use for this to clasp onto. And this is a bead-along, I think it's a 6mm closed jump ring from bead-along. These here are little tiny 4mm jump rings from my stash. I don't particularly care for them. I don't have them marked as a specific brand, so it's just probably something that I might have gotten maybe in a kit or something that is not specific. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is, since I'm working from the spool, I have my wire. This is how the wire is attached to the to my spool. And like I said, it's a large spool and it has a little hole. And so I pop it through the little hole, and this is what I get. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my beads first, and I'll show you why. This really does minimize the scraps. So this here so far, this is all of the scraps I have from doing all of these components so far. That's it. That's it. So I am using, let me bring out my 4 basic tools, which is my bent nose bent nose pliers. And what I like about these bent nose pliers is because the tip is very fine, but then also too, they're bent, and that's for easy maneuvering. So I don't have to do this. I can just do this if I need to do jump rings. I really like the bent chain nose pliers. I have some flush cutters. These are really good. I've had them about 3 years, or a little over 3 years, and I really like them. They're a good flush cutter. There's some wires that it won't. There's a couple of different beading wires that are so thick that it has a hard time cutting, and so I have some other cutters for those. Then I have some chain nose pliers and some round nose pliers. These are from Softflex. I love them. If you look, they have a nice long handle for I have larger hands, and so it just makes a good grip. These are from Bead-Along. This is their Sparkle collection. So I have those 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is I threaded on my little component here that we're going to make that has the little kind of like a rondelle with the rope spacer from Cast and another one here. So I'm going to come down just about maybe a little over an inch because this is 22 gauge wire. So it doesn't, the wrapping, I don't have that long of a neck when I'm doing the wrapping, and I'll show you. And it's just a hair anyways, it's maybe a millimeter difference, but I'm not making a large loop. I'm just gonna triple wrap that. So there's my 90-degree angle bend. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in with my round nose pliers about here. Everybody's round nose pliers are different. I have a few different pairs of round nose pliers, but this one here, I go about here. If you want to know that you're getting the same exact loop size, you can use like these 6-step bell making pliers, or you can use regular bell making pliers. This is the small, and this is probably a little too big than what I was looking for because I was wanting more of the beads rather than loops. So the first thing I'm going to do is just form that over that top barrel. And so here we have, it's just formed over the top barrel, but this tail here needs to be going out this way, and this barrel is in the way. So what I do is I just rotate my wrist, and so now my barrels are side by side rather than up and down. And then I'm going to just push that to the back. And when you look at it, it's crooked. And so I'm just going to rotate my wrist to get that a little bit better there. Okay. Now I'm not attaching this to anything, so I could just go ahead and start wrapping. And I'm going to put the tip of my chain nose pliers right on the end, not where the metal meets. And then I always just kind of crank it a little bit just because I feel like I'm locking it in place. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to make 3 wrap loops. Now I'm using my bent chain nose pliers. You could use your fingers, but again, I'm trying to minimize waste. So I just have a small tail, and then +2. Don't ever do this right after you've lotioned your hands. It's very difficult to grab onto that wire too. And you'll see where I use my hands. I'm going to use my hands with the larger side. So now with the flush side, I'm going to give that a little bit of a trim. Okay, and I cover it up, and then I just like to see how much waste I have and how much I save by not pre-cutting. Pre-cutting is just faster, but I would rather save the wire than be fast. All right, so now I'm just coming in with the tip of my chain nose pliers to bring that around so it's not sticking out. And what I'm talking about is just the tail where I cut. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get that. Now there's a front and a back for me. The front is where I'm starting my wraps, and the back is where I end it. Okay, so I want the front to be the same on both sides. So I'm just turning this over to this side. And since this is a thinner gauge wire, I am right at the tippy tip. And I'm just gonna get that 90-degree angle bend. And I have a little bit of curve here, and that's just because of how it came off of the spool. Then I'm gonna come in about the same place, and I'm gonna go ahead and form over that top barrel, hold that in place, and then move it. And then now what I'm gonna do is push it to the back and then get that centered. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use my fingers for this. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get that. And I can already tell that I'm not totally completely centered. You can do this now, or you can do this after, but you can rearrange your loop. And so I'm going to do it after, because I just showed you how you can do it before, and then we'll do after. And so now I'm using my fingers and I'm letting go. I was letting go in between because I don't want my wire to get warm. If my wire gets too warm, then it's going to snap. Okay, because it'll become brittle. All right, so here we go there. Tuck that in, and if it looks a little wonky to you after you're done, just go ahead and insert that into your round nose pliers, and then just twist a little bit, just a hair, and now I have it nice and neat. So I'm going to have that. Then we're going to do one more, and then that should be enough. Okay. And as you can see, I still have so many beads left. I'm probably going to string this up and put some bead caps in between and maybe do a little something else with it. All right, so now let's go ahead and put this one on. Okay, so I'm threading that on. Again, I don't need a long neck or a long piece here because it's a fairly small loop. And then let's go ahead and come in and form over that top barrel, rotate my wrist, push to the back, and there we go. Let's go ahead and put that on top of the loop. Grab it. And as you can see too, as I am wrapping, I'm not just doing one big swoop all the way around. For one thing, it would be so ugly. But for another, I feel like I have more control. Let's go ahead and give that a little bit of a trim. And I hear the husband coming back into the driveway. So I will finish this last one off after he comes in and gets himself settled. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and finish this off. Let's go ahead and come in and go at the very tippy tip. Again, the start of my wrap is here. My tail is over on this side. So this is my front. Again, nobody probably ever notices. I do. So if I'm giving this away, then at least I know that what they're getting is something that was detailed, something that, you know, there was time put into it, and I tried to do that. And when I'm wrapping around, you'll see here, this finger here, I'm kind of guiding it. So I pull it with both, but then when I go around to the back, I'm kind of guiding it with my finger. I'm not rubbing it, so I'm not adding any heat, but I'm just kind of guiding it. And then there we go to the back. So if you have a long piece, of course, it's easy to use your fingers. And doing it that way with guiding it with your index finger, I feel like that gives you a little bit of control too. All right, so there we go. Here are our pieces. And let's go ahead and grab our jump ring. Again, these are not my favorite. I think I've mentioned that before, but they work-ish. All right, so now here we go again. So here's the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and link that on that way. And I want the front to be the same on this side too. So when I put that on, the front is on this side. So now I'm gonna thread that on. So now all of them are going in the same direction. Does anybody know this other than me? Probably not. The people I give it to probably have no idea of that little extra detail that I put into it. But that's okay. I know about it, and that's all that matters, right? Well, I guess if they know it. So the front is right here. I'm going to thread that on. The front is right here. So I just kind of do this because that's the way it's going to go. And then I just thread it on there. Okay. Let's go this way and get that on, and there we go. All right, so now we have it. And it's going to be fairly large. I probably could have gone without adding this, but I wanted it to be even. But that is okay. I like large. So this one here is pretty big, and that's probably where that one's going to go too. So that if I want to stack some beaded bracelets, then they're not all sitting on top of each other at the same length. So that's what I like about making some large, making some small. Let's open this up, thread that on, thread on our lobster clasp. And I guess I could have done a smaller lobster clasp for this. Then, again, I keep that on because that is the closed. And I don't want to mistake a closed one for an open one. Try and open a closed one and it totally mess up. All right, so here we go here. This is probably a good 7.5-inch bracelet. Could be an anklet for some. Oh yeah, this is very, very large. So this is actually going to be an anklet. So what I would possibly do is I can very easily take out a couple of these. That's probably what I'm going to do. Because, so again, don't do as many. So if you want an anklet, do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So do 5 of these components, 6 of these if you want an anklet. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take off 2. Just trying to see where this slit is. Okay, so let's take off that one. And then we'll take off this one. Find the slit, there it is. And I'll use that for something else. And then go ahead and take this. Oops. Go ahead and take this. And put that on there. And this is probably a more reasonable bracelet. Ends up being about, yep, 6 3/4. So that's perfect for me. All right, so then do 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these and 4 of those. So then if you are like my dear friend Maria, I'd probably take those out because she's like a 5 1/2. And so if she were to only do these, then that would be enough. And you don't have to do it symmetrical. If you want to just leave it and have end with a dark component over here and start with a light one, that's fine too. All right, so we did all those. I have some extra components here, which that is fine. And look at the scraps that I have. That's it from all of that. That's pretty incredible, huh? All right, so we're going to go ahead and put these guys away because, look, I have a ton. And these are rondelles. I looked them up. Well, they were on the list here. The iris green rondelle. So we are going to use these probably in another bracelet, maybe with these guys here, these little 4mm fire polish. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and put these away. I love these containers, easy just to put away. Let's go here, put that away. And then we're going to bring out our next project. Let's go ahead and put our fill in there. Let's go ahead and throw away our scraps. All right, let's put away these little tiny silver ones because we're probably going to use some copper. We're going to use some copper in this next one. This next one is going to be a bracelet. So we're going to go ahead and make a bracelet, thinking that it can also be a necklace too. So we're going to be using some of these 6mm. So pretty. We're going to be using some of these 4mm in between. And then also too, some of these are the table cut diamonds. Absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to go ahead and add just a few of those in between. Then I have some bead caps. I'm thinking we'll use some little small ones because I'm not sure where I'm going to put them. Let me grab a piece of beading wire. So sorry. Look at that little tiny scrap of beading wire. I'm just trying to see what size I want. That's pretty. Let's see if, I don't know if I'm going to put them on these. Oh, I might put them on those. I might put them on those. So we'll use some of these little bead caps. And so we'll do that. And then let's grab some beading wire. We're going to use some Softlex. This is copper color in medium. And I love this, obviously. This is the 100-foot spool. It is absolutely incredible. Love it, love it, love it. So we're going to go ahead and grab some of this. And we will work from the spool. And what I want to do is, let's first grab one of these. I have no idea what this is all going to be, but I want to kind of go a little bit back and forth. So let's go ahead and grab these little bead caps. Don't know where I got them. I got them from somewhere. And I just absolutely love them. Oh, I like this. I don't know if I am going, oops, I don't know if I'm going to add in the yellow. That is really pretty. I think I'm just going to use these. I don't know if I'm going to add in the yellow. That is absolutely stunning. Let's just see. Let's just see what it looks like with the yellow. I think I'm not going to do the yellow. I think I'm going to save the yellow. Let's go ahead and put these guys away. I'm going to save those because I'm thinking of silver for that, and I want to do like a necklace or a bracelet. Kind of in a bracelet mood here lately. Okay, let's go ahead and get these threaded. So let me tell you about the Beads of the Month Club while I'm doing that. That is gorgeous. I love it. Okay. Beads of the Month Club. Beads of the Month Club is just that. It is a monthly subscription, and there are different subscription types. You can get, this one here is the double fire polish, and I'll put a link to my unboxing so that you can see everything that you get. It was such an incredible amount of beads that you get. So if you're new to the beading and jewelry world, this is absolutely perfect for you because it is a good mix of, you saw the different colors, this was just a taste of some of the items that were included in the Fire Polish box. And also too, there's gemstones. If you're a seed beader, they have seed bead Beads of the Month Club. Also too, there's rotating Beads of the Month Club. So check out everything that they have. Also too, if you use the coupon code BELLA10, you get 10% off of your first month's subscription. And what a deal. Also too, don't forget, add on the companion beads, the companion finding pack. So incredible, especially if you're new. Even if you're not new, I'm fairly new. I'm just 3 years into jewelry making, but I really love those packs because sometimes I'm getting things that I normally wouldn't buy, and it just makes it easy for jewelry making when you get the little companion pack, which is probably a good reason why they have the companion pack. All right, so we're just going to continue on. Probably going to do one more and then do a little bit of measuring. Again, my measuring tool is just a like a cone. It was a cone cutout, and then I just took some of my Cricut transfer paper that I had and made it into a cone. Not too like, it's not very it's not profesh, but it works. All right, so I am actually at not even 5, and I'm probably just at 5. So I'm going to add one more set. So let's add one more set of beads here and see where we get. I would like to get to at least 5.5, because once I get the grip tubes and the wire guards and the clasp on, then it adds another like 1.25 inches. So there we go. All right, so what I did was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of the smalls. And again, look how much I still have. That is a lot. So if I want to add a little dangle on the end, I can add a little dangle on the end, and I think I am going to. I think I'm going to add something like that on the end. All right, so let's go ahead and put away. I don't know where I got these. They're pretty cute. But again, get the findings pack so that you can start building your own. All right, so there we go there. Okay, so I don't have antique copper 2x2 crimp tubes. These are from Softflex. These are their copper. I don't have antique copper wire guards, so the copper is just going to have to do. But I do have a lobster clasp, and I have a couple jump rings. So then I have my head pin, so we're going to make a component too. All right, so what I want to do is I am going to, oh, I need like a small jump ring. I do have a little inky dinky little 3mm. It's 21 gauge, but that's okay. It's just gonna hang our dangle for us. All right, let's get all this stuff put back in a little container. Okay, and again, I'm working from the spool, and again, that's just to minimize waste. And so what we're gonna do is we are going to use our magic crimpers. What's different from these than the standard? These have the one well. You can see the one well there. And what you do is you place your crimp tube right in the middle, and only works with the 2x2 crimp tubes. And when you give it that first initial squeeze or crimp, then it will create, it'll pinch down the 4 corners. Then you turn it on its side, and so now your, so you flattened it and you turn it to the side, and now the flat is going this way. When you crimp down, that is actually taking those 4 corners and embedding them into the beading wire. So it makes it for a very secure finish. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my crimp tube. And I'm going to add my wire guard. Why do I use a wire guard? Well, you know, I mean, this wire is 49 strand. It's very, very tough. However, though, I never know, the person I give this to, I never know how they are going to be wearing it. If it stays with me, I'm going to go ahead and add my jump ring on there. And then I don't have to open it so much. If I give it away as a gift, I don't know how they're going to wear it. So I just want to prepare. Also too, sometimes when I'm wearing them, then I like to have that extra protection. And you can kind of tell that I'm using regular copper rather than antique copper. All right, so I'm just taking, this is the standard crimper, and I'm taking that front well that's kind of rounded, and I'm just pinching off the end of the wire guard. You do not have to do that. I only do that because then I get that crimp tube right up against the wire guard, and I don't have a bunch of space in between. All right, so I'm keeping my wires separated. They're not crossing, and I'm gonna go ahead and place this in the center of the well there. Okay, so it's in the center, it's not poking out either side, and I'm gonna give it a squeeze. When I give it a squeeze, it pinches down those 4 corners. Then I turn it on its side, get that in the middle, give it a squeeze, then I just keep it in place and I start turning. And this is where the magic happens, because you saw that it was a crimp tube, right? And then I just continue twisting until there's no tension. Look at that. I have a bead-like finish. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, I don't know if a second piece of wire will go through or not. Probably not. I do that only because, and I normally do that with when I'm just doing a standard crimp, because then it doesn't, because with a standard crimp, you take the initial crimp separates the two, then the crimp up on the top brings them together, and so they're side by side, not together like how this one's together. So it's not going to, the only reason why I do it is because sometimes then that initial bead is off-centered a little bit, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and bring in our cutters and give it a little bit of a trim. Okay, there we go. Now what we're gonna do So again, I just have that much of waste there. And then what I'm going to do, and the reason why I do this is because you don't want it to be so stiff. It's not that much of a deal when it comes to bracelets because the bracelets are going to go around. But when you're working on a necklace, you don't want it to be so stiff. Okay, so I'm going to cut off just a couple and a half inches or so. Go ahead and add that crimp tube. Go ahead and add my wire guard or wire guardian. Go ahead and get that on there. Go ahead and pass that back through the other side of the wire guardian. Okay, so now it's going through. There's little tubes, like tubes on each end of the wire guard. Then there's like a little cavity or canal where the wire is, and you want to make sure that it's in there. Then go ahead and pass this through. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just close this off. And again, this is just personal preference. It doesn't have to be done. It's very minimal, but let's go ahead and bring that down. The copper wire, with the copper wire, it sometimes can get a little not sticky, but it's nice and thick. And when I do this here, so when I bring it around, I can see I don't have any gaps. There's no gaps anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a good crimp right there. So then what I do is I'll go ahead and straighten it out, because then that gives me a little bit of room. So now I'm going to go ahead and place this right in the center of my crimper, and I'm going to give it a squeeze. And I've got my 4 corners, so I'm going to turn it on its side. Always being careful of crimping on top of your wire guard, on top of your beads. And now I'm just crimping around until I don't feel any tension. Make sure you get that back in there, and I can see that there's still some, and you can feel it too. And then when you stop feeling the tension, you know you have that bead-like finish. Come in with your cutter, give it a trim, and look, not that much of waste. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make, because I'm going to put my little dangle on this side so that I'm not fighting with the dangle where I'm trying to clasp on. Let's go ahead and get this closed off. And again, I prefer a closed jump ring for this. However, though, I don't have it, so it's just going to have to be a nice thick jump ring. Get that closed off nice and neat. All right, so let's go ahead and make our little dangle component. We're going to go ahead and use one of those beads. We're going to use a bead cap. And then we're going to use one of the little 4mm fire polish. Kind of cute, huh? That would make for a cute earring too. All right, this is a very thin wire. It's a balled head pin. And the reason why I chose the thin is because you have to consider the hole size as well. And so the hole size of your beads, I think it would have been okay with a thicker one, but I just wanted to do the thin one and make sure that it didn't fight with the bead. So I have my 90-degree angle bend. I'm going to come in about so and go ahead and form that over the top barrel, turn that around, and now push that to the back and then get that all nice and centered. So there we have our loop. Let's go ahead and come in with our chain nose pliers and then bring in our bent chain nose pliers. And again, this one here, you could probably just do your whole wrapping in one fell swoop, but I'm not going to. I'm still gonna graciously go around this way, like so. All right, and if you wanna do a messy wrap, you could do a messy wrap here too. This wire is thin enough where you can make up a really, really pretty messy wrap or bulky wrap. Okay, I'm trying to not, I don't wanna cut on top of my bead. There we go. And I want to tuck in that tail. Let's tuck in the tail. Then we're going to go ahead and add, the reason why I'm using this is just because, for one thing, I don't want it hanging directly from the jump ring that I'm going to be using for my class, but then also too, so I orient it, so it's oriented right. So then here we go, so that the front is the front, not the side view. Okay, get that closed off. Yep, that's perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is open up our jump ring. Again, this said 6mm 20 gauge, but I think it's more of an 18 gauge. Okay, let's open that up. And let's go ahead and add that. Let's go ahead and add our dangle. Let's add our dangle on there. I guess I could be using my round nose pliers to do this. And then let's go ahead and get that closed up. That didn't go as expected. Let's try it again. Let's go ahead and get this on there. I have another pile over here because I didn't think I had any antique copper clasps, and I did. All right, so I think I opened this backwards. I did. All right, let's go ahead and get that closed off. And here we go. We have a beautiful second bracelet. And again, there is some regular copper findings on there, but you know, people aren't going to pay attention to that. And then you have a little bit of a dangle. Then we also have this bracelet here. So we made 2 bracelets using some of the beads from the double fire polish Beads of the Month Club. And this was called the Daisy Basket. If you like this video, please give it a huge thumbs up. Also, too, comment. I'd love to see what everybody has to say, and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.